guys, and welcome back to Reading Club. So today I'm going to read you Daisy and the Trouble with Maggots, Chapter 21 to the last chapter. Chapter 21. This is how I pinged Zach Beachwhistle and Harry Bayless with my fishing catapult. Step 1. I slowly lowered my fishing catapult so that they wouldn't notice it. Step 2. I slowly put my hand inside the maggot box. Step 3. I slowly got a great big handful of maggots. Step 4. I slowly put the maggots into the pouch. Step 5. I slowly put my pink finger inside the loop. Step 6. I slowly waited for the first 6 canoes to pass by in front of me. Step 7. I quickly lifted up my catapult, pulled back my pink finger, and blam! I pinged Zach Beachwhistle and Harry Bayless all over with maggots. It was brilliant. Zach Beachwhistle tried to duck out of the way, but Harry had never seen a catapult before, so he didn't even know what I was doing. By the time I realized he'd been sprinkled with maggots, I pinged maggots all over him again. It was so funny. Zach Beachwhistle tried to paddle away really fast, but then he remembered he was the second best canoe expert and his job was to stay at the back, behind Harry, which meant he had to come back for more. I was laughing so much when I pinged him the third time, I nearly fell off my seat. Then my uncle sat up to see what I was doing. At first, I thought he'd be really cross, but then when I told him I pinged Zach and Harry by accident, he told me to be more careful and laid back down the picnic blanket, which meant I could try and ping them more with maggots again. Trouble is, they were out of range now, so my maggots wouldn't reach. After he paddled past me, Zach Beachwhistle looked back and tried to splash water at me with his paddle, but he missed by miles. Then he stuck his tongue out even farther, and he crossed his eyes. I stuck my tongue out as far as I possibly could, and I called him a canoe face, which serves him right, because it was him and Harry who started it, not me. If him and Harry hadn't told me all those fibs about fishing, then I wouldn't have pinged maggots at them at all. I might even have waved nicely at them instead. I might even have pinged them some cheesy puffs, but I didn't. I pinged the big fat fibbers with big fat maggots instead, which was totally their fault. Chapter 22. The trouble with pinging Zach and Harry with maggots is it really makes you want to ping them again, even though you know you really shouldn't. And especially if your uncle has told you not to. Trouble was, Zach Beachwhistle and Harry Bayless had paddled too far down the river for me to reach them, so I couldn't ping them again anyway, which meant I had to think of something else to aim at instead. First of all, I looked at my float, but I'd already aimed at that before. Then I aimed at my keep net, but that was too easy to hit. Then I aimed at a dragonfly, but it wouldn't stop darting around, so I had no choice really. I had to aim at some river air instead. The trouble with aiming at river air is sometimes an actual river boat can get in the actual way, especially if the sun is shining in your eyes at the same time that you ping the maggots out of your catapult. That's exactly what kind of happened to me. Can you believe it? Just as I fired at this really small piece of river air, a riverboat sailed straight past in front of it. Can you believe it? And the sun really came out straight in my eyes, which meant my maggots missed the river air I was aiming at and hit the river boat in front of me instead. The trouble with accidentally pinging maggots into a river boat is the people on the boat might be having a picnic as well, which means your maggot might end up in their picnic basket or in their cups of tea without them noticing at first. The trouble with noticing there's a maggot in your cup of tea is it makes ladies on boats scream really loudly. and spit their tea out into the river. Which makes your uncle sit up, and your auntie, and your mom. The trouble with seeing maggots in ladies' hair is it makes men on boats shout quite loudly too. Especially if the ladies are freaking out. Which makes your mom, auntie, and uncle get up off the picnic blanket and stare right across the river, and then at me. At first I thought I pretended I was too busy fishing to notice. That way they wouldn't know the maggot pinger was me. But when the man on the boat threw the whole tray of cakes into the river, including the tray, I decided I'd better try and hide the catapult fast. The trouble with trying to hide a catapult fast is the only place I could think to put it was my stripy t-shirt. Trouble is, it made my tummy blurred. Bug. Plus, my uncle saw me hide it there, which wasn't good. But before he could say anything, there was a really loud scream from up the river, which wasn't good either. Then there was a really loud whistles from up the river too, which made things even worse. And then the river boat I pinged maggots at crashed into the bank beside us, which made things terrible. Then the whistle up the river got even louder and louder and louder. Which was really bad news because we weren't the only ones who could hear them. After about 12 really loud whistles, even the people in the cafe by the lock gates had run up to the river to see what was happening. Uncle Cleve didn't know whether to run up the river towards the whistles or help the people who had crashed their boat right beside us. I did. I ran up the river as fast as I could with Auntie Sue and my mom. Except that when I saw where the whistles were coming from, I kind of wished I'd stayed in my seat. Right in the middle of the river, Zach Beatrice and Harry Bayless had dropped their paddles and were doing really fast kayak rolls. At first, I thought they were practicing, but after about 6th roll, I realized they were the only children who were doing them. Plus, every time the man with the whistle told them to stop, they just kept doing another turbo spin upside down and under the water again. Double plus, each time their faces came up out of the river, their eyes went kind of bulgy and their lips kind of squealed like the ladies on the boat, like something was freaking them out too, which meant I was in even bigger trouble now. The trouble with having maggots in your pants is they're really hard to get out, especially if your legs are wedged inside a canoe. That's what happened to Harry and Zach. Some of my maggots had gone down to the necks of their life jacket and crawled right down to their backs and into their undies. They hadn't realized until they were farther down the river, which meant there was nothing that Harry and Zach could do except freak. Plus roll over and over and over in the water every time they felt a maggot wriggling around in their bottoms. Which was really, really funny. Everyone felt really sorry for them, but I thought it was hilarious. In the end, 4 grown-ups had to dive in, otherwise they'd still be spinning around and around in the water now. After Harry and Zach had been got out of their canoes, they had to take their trousers down to shake the maggots out of their pants. I even saw their bare bottoms. It was so funny. Trouble is, then Zach told everyone that the maggots had been pinged by me. Which wasn't funny at all. Trouble is, then Uncle Cleve arrived with the people who had crashed their boat, plus a strawberry cheesecake with maggots all over it. So then I had to own up to everything, which got me to something my mom called really deep water, which means really big trouble without getting wet. As from today, I am officially banned from playing anything with a catapult ever again. Plus, I'm not allowed cheesy puffs or chariot at my picnics ever again. Mom says the E numbers drive me off the rails. Plus, can you believe it? I am banned from fishing with Uncle Cleve for a whole month. That's 4 weeks and 2 whole days. Chapter 23. The trouble with being banned from going fishing again for 4 whole weeks and 2 whole days is it makes you even crosser. I mean, just when I was getting really good at fishing and pinging, Zach Beatrice and Harry Bayless had to come along in their canoes and spoil everything. If I hadn't been made to pack all my fishing gear away by my mom, I'd reckon I'd have caught an even bigger dace or roach yesterday afternoon. I'd probably have caught a bigger fish than my Uncle Cleve. Uncle Cleve said he didn't think we would have caught very many more fish at all. He said that once a boat crashes into a riverbank in front of you, the sound of the crash usually frightens all the fish away. Fish doesn't eat very much when they're frightened. Plus, we only had 2 maggots left in our bait box. I pinged all the others into the river. In the car on the way home, Uncle Cleve said that I shouldn't be cross. I should be reflective. Trouble is, I don't know what reflective means, so I'm going to stay cross instead, just like my mom. Mom says that pinging maggots at people in boats is an absolutely disgusting thing to do. And if she'd known Uncle Cleve was going to let me ping maggots all over the place, she wouldn't have let me go fishing in the first place. And she wouldn't have let me have any cheese puffs either. When I got to the school this morning, Zach Beatrice and Harry Bayless was waiting outside the school gates yet again. Except this time, they had their mums with them too. So I got in even more trouble. Zach Beatrice's mom said that Zach and Harry might have nearly drowned when the maggots wriggled into their pants, and that firing missiles at children in canoes was a very naughty thing to do. Oh well, at least I saw their bare booties. They won't be telling me any more fibs after that. Plus, Harry Bayless doesn't need any more karate kayak roll practice now either. In fact, thanks to me, Harry and Zach Beatrice are now the 2 best kayak rollers in the world. I'm really glad I went fishing with my Uncle Cleve. It was so much fun. Even if I did get told off, and even if I am banned from fishing and catapults and cheesy puffs and cherryade, if you ask me, Zach Beatrice and Harry Bayless deserved every single maggot I pinged at them. Plus the 2 maggots I put in their pencil cases at break time today. Teehee. That's the end of this book. I hope you enjoyed my readings of it, and I really liked this book. So if you did, please click many likes and subscribe, Reading Club, so I'll come back tomorrow with a new and improved channel. Bye, everybody.